I had way too much fun at Walmart finding items that were under $10 that might be interesting for someone to carry potentially or use for various different purposes. So today we're going to do another episode of 10 items under $10. Now, one of the first items I found was this water bottle, and this is a 1 liter or 1,000 milliliter bottle, and it even has graduations on the side right here. And you can get access two different ways, and everything is attached, which I really like. So if you want to throw some ice in there, whatever you want, there you go. At $4.47, I call this a win for all different types of adventures, and it's definitely something you can always pick up at Walmart. $10 for a pair of wireless headphones is a lot to ask, at least for them to be quality. Now, I've tried these briefly and they're okay. You know, honestly, they work better than I expected them to at the price. And my guess is that they were at one point a lot more expensive, and because they are micro USB, like the cable it comes with, they were dropped in price. So this was about $10. And if you needed something like this that you could take on a plane and wouldn't be afraid losing, maybe not such a bad option. Speaking of not bad options, there were no options whatsoever when it came to wallets, men's wallets specifically at Walmart. I couldn't believe it. I couldn't even find something out of the price range that was decent in any form, except this. And this is actually less than $10, and I found it in the electronics aisle. And this is designed to go on the back of your phone, so this just slides off like so. You have your wallet. You're going to fit between 3 and 4 cards, and that's pretty much all you're going to be able to do with it. So not a lot in that realm. I was actually pretty disappointed considering how many things they have at Walmart. The wallet section is seriously lacking. But you know what? This isn't even that bad. I think this fully defines the word or phrase impulse buy. So I've seen these a number of times in different hardware stores. Okay, what this is a two-sided chisel. And so when you take this off, what you're going to get is essentially kind of like a fixed blade knife, sort of. What I thought this might be useful for specifically is as a car tool that you could use to actually split wood or pry things open potentially. So it has some different functionality. So you can take this, hammer it along the back, and actually split wood. So if you're doing some sort of camp tasks, you might have a little bit of fun with that without dulling your knife. That's kind of what I had in mind with it. And for $10, it was worth a shot. I really liked that it had a full handle. I've seen some by DeWalt, but they don't have this full handle component right here. So I really like that. And you know what? No regrets. $10, I'll take it. And it even had something that I could reattach as a sheath. And that I thought was a really nice touch as well. You know, to some people, I bet this is an everyday carry item. Super glue is really useful. Now, if you get the gel variety, it's not going to be single use like it's usually recommended. You can actually use these multiple times, and if you keep them nice and tight, both in the cap and here, it should work. Just don't get the liquid variety because that flows much easier and has a higher likelihood of spilling out in a pocket or in a zip bag. And if you want everything to be a giant mass, that's a good way to do it. But I don't recommend doing that if you can avoid it. So super glue is something you can get just under $5. Always check those out and see if they're on sale. This is another one of those items that some people carry and some people don't. I actually am a huge fan of lighters in general. There's some things you can do with fire that you can't do with anything else. And because so many pieces of clothing are synthetic, you can actually use them to essentially heal various different garments. And I've used it to basically cauterize thread to keep it from fraying further. I've used it to cut things open. I've used it to heat up a nail to then pierce holes through synthetic materials. A lighter is very useful. Now, something interesting about this one, you'll find towards the end of your time in Walmart over by the registers. Look down here at the bottom, you'll notice that it says made in the United States. Not all Bic varieties are made in the US, but this particular one is. and I kind of like having them. I found this out when I was doing my under $100 USA made EDC, and I've loved having them ever since. If you can't get a Zippo in your pocket and you don't have an insert that doesn't leak fuel, these will last for a very long time in storage, and they're great for emergencies, for kits, for your pocket, whatever you need. And it's not just for people who smoke. These are surprisingly useful. You will be amazed. For just under $8, I have this pairs of pliers. I don't exactly know how the plurals work. So we have the needle nose, which admittedly are not very good. You could see they don't even come to a point. But the reason I really wanted this was for the slip joint pliers. I think that more than you might imagine, these are a pretty decent substitute for the pliers on a multi-tool. These do a lot of work, and in some ways are better because they can open to a wider dimension and still get a lot of pressure on them. So I really like slip joint pliers, and I think they have a lot of potential if they're small and compact enough. And the only thing I would say is if you're going to carry these in the pocket, you definitely want to file down any part of the exposed screw just to make it easier to go into your pocket. If you're not carrying it in your pocket though, it's good for a car kit, it's good for, you know, maybe a starter toolkit. I don't know about this needle nose, but this isn't too bad. So something to take a look at for under $8. Let's talk about lighting for a second. So both of these were different sections entirely. I scoured the place for flashlights, and frankly, I'm pretty disappointed in general, but there were a few options that I would say are okay. This one I thought was particularly funny, and I wanted to show you guys. This thing is designed to go over the top of your head, like so, and give you some lighting where you're working. That's, you know, surprisingly useful. And if you're not wearing a hat like me, or these other flashlights that don't have a hands-free option, you know, it's not the end of the world. And it comes with the batteries. So you get 2 batteries, 2 AA's, and these 2 pieces. And in theory, because it actually has different outputs, I can't remember how it works. There you go. It has 3 different outputs. You can technically make 2 flashlights out of this if you take that apart. So there you go. 2 flashlights for the price of $10. Or you can go for this, which is a AAA battery-powered flashlight by Coast, which will give you 2 output settings and pretty simple design. It's not fully waterproof IPX4, but it might get you started. And it's bright enough that I'm not too upset about it. $10 for either one of these, but I think the real fun find was actually this, the Hyper Tough Flex Head. And yeah, both about $10. One thing I did not expect to find for $10 or less is this. This is some pepper spray. Now, I'm not going to get into my spiel about it. All I'm going to say is do not do this because you're seeing it for $10 and then carrying it and think, you know, do your research is all I'm saying. And don't go with the cheapest variety. Go with the one that is definitely going to work if you're going to carry something, okay? One thing I do know, though, is these are awesome if you leave them in the right place. Now, these come with a keychain, but you really shouldn't keep them on your keychain. They just are too bulky in general. Now, there's some that are smaller than this, but the best place to keep these is somewhere near the center console and attached to something. That way, in an emergency scenario, regardless of whether it's the passenger or the driver, they can pull this out, use this side where they press it up against the window and then push down, and that'll crack the window and cut open the seat belt. These work way, way better than you might expect. We could do a test, but these have been shown multiple times on different videos, and I don't see any major variance in them. So something like this will cost very, very little. I believe these were $5. You leave them in a vehicle, and it's just a little peace of mind. So this I definitely can recommend. As far as the pepper spray, do your research and decide whether it's something that's worth carrying or you need something different. Now, would you believe that I went into Walmart looking for one item and ended up with $150 worth of $10 items? Yeah. I was looking for that mystical shaft lock Ozark trail knife. You know, that one that every reviewer is trying to find and can't find anywhere? Yeah, that one. And then I decided, you know what? The whole point is that it was under $10. So let me see what else they have for under $10. And unfortunately, there is not that much. And as far as utility knives were concerned, there were a number of them. Not all of them were good. And the ones that I did like, unfortunately, were mostly above the $10 price point. What I do like about this one is that it is very, very comfortable in hand, and the lock is actually surprisingly sturdy. Everything feels like it's pretty solid. So if you're looking for something under the $10 price point, this is a decent pickup, but I just feel like it's better for you to save a little bit more, maybe, or just spend a couple more bucks to get a decent one-handable utility knife blade. This is not one-handable, and it's not going to deploy ever by accident, but it's just nothing to write home about. Now, when it comes to pens, they had a ton of options, and I shouldn't be allowed in that aisle at all, like at all, because I cannot help myself. I love this stuff. I love pens. I love paper. I don't know what it is. Anyway, this notebook, $1, 4" by 6", and it's about the biggest you can fit in a man's pocket. But they did have smaller notebooks that you could get as well, and I think they were all lined. Really inexpensive. Pick one up, use it, lose it. It's not the end of the world, right? Now, as far as pens were concerned, I picked a couple up that I had never tried before and some that I knew were really, really good. We'll start with some of the ones that are classics with this Pilot. Now, what I like about these as far as an everyday carry pen is that they actually have a deep carry clip. And unlike some of the ones that I'm about to show you, this actually works with thick work pants if you wanted to. And a lot of pants I have, or whether they're denim or otherwise, they just bend the clips too easily, and this does not have that problem. And there's a couple others like the Uniball that have the same clip that are excellent, but the thing about these is the writing experience is phenomenal. The harder you press, thicker the line. They're just wonderful pens, and they last a very long time. It's like a huge amount of liquid ink in here. I have some of these in boxes that are more than 20 years old and they still function. So you'd be amazed at how long 4 of these will actually last. And you can get 4 for less than $10. Now, next up is another absolute home run, and that's the double-sided twin tip Sharpie. So these are actually surprisingly thin. I mean, they're just like a little bit bigger than what a normal gel pen will give you. You could use it on a piece of paper, but they will kind of bleed through a little bit. Just keep that in mind. But in a pinch, these are more versatile than most other pens because you also have the thick tip for marking things out, like I did here, or, you know, many other different things you might come up with. Sharpies are just really, really useful. Now, if you are somebody who likes to sketch with pens, they actually had some sketching pens in different size. So they had the 0.1, 0.3, and 0.5 set for less than $10. And these have decent clips as well. So if you are that type of person and you like to sketch, might not be such a bad solution. And you can get them for less than $10. Now you can get these all over the place. We're just doing this because it's Walmart, and they still have these options, and I wanted to make it clear that they are available. Now, the last two, we'll start with the G301. Now, it's a little bit different than the F301 because the F301 uses a standard ink pen, but this actually uses a gel ink. So you're getting a much thicker line. This is a 0.7 mil. So you're going, if you like a thick line, this is a good option for you. And you can get the pair for like less than $5, I think. Let me just double check that. Yeah, $4.88 for the pair of these. So not half bad, and they are very comfortable to use. That being said, the one thing I don't like as much is notice that this piece of plastic is there. It doesn't let it go that deep into the pocket. You have to have very, very thin pants for it to fit in. but I think what they are is designed for the front pocket on a button-down shirt. So just keep that in mind. If you try to force it, it's going to splay out the metal. Not my favorite clip, but definitely one of my favorite pens. Now the last one on this list is something I'd never tried before. So this is a Uniball pen, and what I didn't realize till I opened the package is it's actually two different textures. They just seamlessly connected the two components. Check this out, right there. And one is smooth plastic, and the bottom side is actually a nice grippy rubber. Really, really nice feeling in hand. And this is another gel pen with a nice thick tip. But unlike the G301, this has a monstrous refill. So you'll get a lot of writing out of it. So very, very efficient use. The only thing, well, I thought I would like it, and then after using it, turns out it's not as nice as I thought. When I put this in my pocket, it actually makes the clip stick out a lot with this little flare. And unfortunately, that is not very fun. So if you have thin pockets, it's not going to be an issue. But if you have thick work pants, it's going to look like that. And it might get caught on something. So just be aware of that. But still a great functioning pen. And going to give you a lot of ink and a lot of wear. Now I saved the best for last. This is the one item that I took away from all that I really, really like. Like, I will definitely be using this. This is not a pen. This is a craft blade holder, and has a really nice, convenient way to keep the tip from doing any damage. I love this so much. I found this kind of like as I was walking around the stationery sections, and it's just a great tool for doing precision work. And I like it a whole lot better than some of those other craft blades that need a cap because it can get lost. This is something I would potentially carry in my pocket for depending on what I was trying to accomplish or crafts I was doing with my kids, that kind of thing. It's a neat tool, and it's definitely something you're going to want to keep your eye out for if you're in a Walmart. Definitely the winner of the day. Now, if this was the winner, this is the one that gave me the biggest smile. And the fact that it was less than $10 made me very happy. So this thing is awesome. If you don't know what this is, well, I guess we had very different childhoods. Let me show you, and maybe this will get you an eye roll because you will then understand so much more about me. So this hammer is a perfect replica of something I had as a kid. And of course, it's an okay hammer. It's not great because it doesn't have a ton of grip. But on the handle, you have a flathead screwdriver, which has a Phillips head screwdriver inside, which has a flathead screwdriver inside, which has a small teeny little Phillips inside. Okay, this is like the tool version of the Russian dolls. All right, very, very entertaining. But as a kid, man, I felt like I was like Inspector Gadget with one of these because the things you could do with it, or the trouble you could get into, which was more the case, is, well, a lot. And my 8-year-old daughter is going to be getting one of these, probably to her mother's discomfort. But I think if we train properly, we will have a lot of fun with it. So I am super pleased to have found this. It's not exactly an EDC item, but is it definitely something you should consider? Oh yeah, oh yeah. This might be something you might have a hard time finding at Walmart. I found one little small section in the automotive area, and that's where they had the S-Beaners. Yours may be different, but for under $3, this is a very versatile piece of equipment that you can put your keys on, you can hang bags from, you can, you know, my God, there's just so many different ways you can use these things. But definitely try to pick one up if you're missing this functionality in your kit. I actually had a lot of fun doing this. Now, I probably won't do another one till next month, but I'm curious. What big box store, Home Depot, Lowe's, or otherwise, would you want me to do next for the next 10 items under $10? Let me know down in the comments. And don't worry, we'll be seeing you again soon. Take care.